I'm here today with Isabeau. She's our product manager. She's come on an amazing journey with us, which I'm very, very excited to kind of explore with her, take some of her learnings and share it with you. Welcome.
Thank you.
So the very first and foremost question that I have for you is, you come from a technical background, a technical position before your time at Nebula in a very, very different industry, and brought that into your experience with us. How do you approach, coming into an environment where there's a whole new language to learn around, specifically from the software developers, and not yourself being a trained developer? As the product owner, how do you start to get yourself into that mindset and into that language?
Well, so when I started here, I definitely fed on everybody's knowledge that they had, and also my mentors that I had back then, that I still have today. It really guided me through the process, showed me where I should be patient with myself, but also where I should know more, challenge myself more, and read up more. But with that, we've got a culture in our company that's all about learning, and they just showed, they were so patient with me and showed me things, and that made me so much more comfortable with myself and with the language that I was learning.
For sure. I think you picked up on two things there, especially as a young product owner or an experienced product owner coming into a new environment. It's good to have that mentor that can help guide you through that conversation, because it can be quite lonely in the middle, I'm going to say. But also, you mentioned they're having a very strong technical team that can also be patient with you and guide you through that technical knowledge. How significant has it been for you to have a very strong and capable technical team behind you when kind of presenting back to a client, which very often a product owner is in front of that client?
Yeah, so it's definitely given me a lot of comfort in knowing that I've got that team to support me. It gave me the ability to do what I do best, which is engage with the client. And because I come from a point where I am that confident in what we're implementing, any conversation that I had to have was easier, knowing what we're doing is the right way of doing things, and what we're implementing to the best of our abilities.
Yeah, makes sense. I think interesting, as you shared there, implementing things in the right way, and that right way can mean something for everybody. It means something different, but in our world, that right way means ideally the best technical, most stable, but also the most valuable to the customer. And sometimes giving that feedback is not easy. And again, I mentioned that same thing, quite lonely, and the importance of having a mentor in that. Talk to me about some of the techniques, or maybe an example where you've been able to address those things with the client, knowing that it's the best for them, and be able to bring them on board and bring them to see the reason.
Yeah, so definitely a couple of difficult conversations that had to take place, especially with clients that are not necessarily as technical, not understanding the technical background and why something would take longer than it should. But again, us having the luxury of where we proved ourselves over and over and over to the client makes those conversations so much easier, because we've built a trust with them where they know that even if we're maybe a day or two late, or it's not we can't rush this or anything like that, it comes from a point where they know we will implement something that is, I won't say bug-free, nothing is bug-free, but they don't have to send it straight back into development. So,
that's right.
Yeah, and having that support from the technical team, and just knowing that sometimes if they yell at you, but because you've got that knowledge, it makes it so much easier.
For sure. I think that having that high quality output, making the right decisions, communicating that to the customer, allows you, therefore, again, coming back to your role as a product owner, you can reliably plan your features going forward, because you're not needing to go back and deal with technical debt. You're not needing to take on more items coming from the service desk. You're fairly confident that the roadmap you line out might have one or two bugs coming in from outside back in the service desk, but nothing significant, which means you get that really good cadence going. How have you found that?
No, definitely. It's such a comfort knowing that, and that you can have that rhythm. But also, again, leaning back on the reliable team, where if there's something that's wrong, or if there is a service desk coming, they've got such a shared experience and like the knowledge sharing that takes place in the team. You can go to anybody in the team and they can help you solve it. So that also just, it gives you a reassurance that even if it comes in, it won't derail the whole project or the product ever, because we've got such a great foundation that we work from.
That's right. And I think having that solid process that you've been able to put in place and curate to get into the place that it is now, how would you, to a young product owner starting out, often a very difficult thing to do is make time in a sprint or in a plan or a roadmap for non-sexy items.
Yeah,
let's
technical
say
debt.
Technical debt, DevOps. Some of those things which on the face of it are not high value items to the customer, but long term by consistently doing this, it's going to work out. What are some of the techniques maybe that you use to balance those things out?
Yeah, so definitely the first step I would always follow is is this possible to visualize to the client? Whether it is by drawing a quick diagram for them or explaining on their level to them. That would be my first point of action. And if that's not possible, again, falling back on the trust that has been developed between the client and the product owner to say that I won't beat around the bush. We need to do this for the sustainability of your product and your project. We wouldn't just do this because we want to.
Right.
And that would be my advice to a product owner, is always first build that trust.
Right.
And then build the trust not only of your client but also of your developers, so that you can also know that when it's necessary, when they say it's necessary, it's really necessary, and then you try your best to explain it to the client on their level.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned kind of before we came now, when we were talking about an incident that's happening even at the moment, to present that in a truthful way, in a transparent way. It's not always the easiest to deliver, because you'd rather tell maybe a half version, or you kind of hide some of that stuff, the ugly stuff away. But when you expose that in a very good way, it definitely builds trust, and that's something that you reflected on already.
Yeah.
Switching gears a little bit, now that you're progressing in your career, excellent product owner, and have been promoted now into a product manager with your own team that's now running the BA side, the design side, and then of course on the product owner side as well, kind of following on from you. How has that transition been to still be front and center with the client, still have that relationship with the team, but now enable your own team?
It's been challenging, but yet so liberating. I think it's especially taking the team that I have. It's a team of individuals working on individual things, but all working with the same purpose and the same goal in mind. That has been a big privilege to work on a team, because not only are they learning from me, what I can teach them, I'm learning so much from them.
Amazing.
Definitely a big difference managing a project versus managing people, and just getting into that right frame of mind again, on how to do that, how best to approach them, and making sure that we grow them as much as we've grown in our roles as well. But a great opportunity to lead such a great team that I've got now.
For sure. And I guess in there, taking all those learnings that you would have taken from when you first stepped in, that mentorship and that guidance, just applying that straight back into the team.
Yeah, no, definitely. And also encouraging where they all come from, encouraging that individuality that they've got and they all bring to the table, and not just trying to get them to fit the mold, but bringing what they know and their experience is so valuable to them, but also so valuable to the company.
Exactly. And I guess that's what making all of the team stronger, where as a younger product owner, you kind of want to be everything. You want to do the design, you want to do the client, you want to put the proposal together, you want to do the sprint plan, you're kind of doing everything. And now you're getting to the point where you've got specialists in these roles that you even mentioned now, you're actually learning from, and they've developed on their own independently even before kind of joining your team, and you can actually feed on that now. It just gives you, I would think, so much more capability. Is that right?
No, definitely. Definitely. And not even just me, but seeing how they interact with the technical teams and what the technical teams can take from them on how they approach things, how they ask questions and how they make decisions, and what they learn from my team. Very valuable and,
interesting. And even you for the viewers, you have a new team, so a new team, some of them, or pretty much all of them new to the company, one joined from a different team. All of this during this time where you're not face to face, what are some of the things that you've done to try and build that team cohesion of a team, as you mentioned, of individuals working for a common goal but working on very different disciplines? What are one or two of the things that you've done there to bring the team together and feel like a team?
So just to first touch on that first part what you said, it was a challenge for me being someone that's very extroverted and want to be in between people, and this remote thing wasn't great for my team. But then implementing, again, from coaching from my mentors, having like I'm going to use a practical example of the brown paper bag, getting them to tell us about themselves, having the whole team and even some extended members just sharing. We learned so much about each other that we would have picked up from a water cooler chat or going to make coffee, but we never had the opportunity to chat about it. And also just that weekly check-ins, even bi-weekly, not once or twice a week, having those necessary check-ins to make sure everyone is aligned, because everyone is working on different things, but we all have the common goal of making the products successful and scalable and reach their potential. So definitely check-ins and having that open door policy, making sure that they know no matter the issue, no matter the mistake, that they can just come to me and send me a message and everything is fixable.
Everything's going to be okay.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess not being able to shut down those questions, being open for those questions to come, which in a new team and a new team member, immaterial of what experience you've got, there's context that you have, having been involved in all the products up until now, that they're going to need to learn. And what easier way to do that when you're comfortable with that person, when you feel this is not just my manager, but this is someone I connect with and I've shared some experiences with, so I can ask the stupid question, I can ask the difficult question, I can go to places that maybe are difficult to get to. One of the last things, and then we'll wrap up with a quick fire round. So all the devs have got the same questions as you, so I'm excited to hear your input on that. Focusing on the roadmaps that are coming, we've got two different products that we're busy furiously putting roadmaps and different feature goals in place for, especially for this next year. How do you visualize and motivate a wider team to feed into that roadmap? You've done it for years on the client side. This is the roadmap that we're going to all strive towards to achieve our goals, and now we're doing it, of course, for our products as well. How do you present that? How do you see that? That's some of the things that are kind of the dark art of product ownership and product management. Some tactical or technical things that and how you present those roadmaps.
So I definitely think the number one skill needed in my job is to make everything attractive to the other party, right? To sell it to them. And I use the same principle as that I do for the clients, I would do for the developers. So the developers struggle with service desk tickets or constantly coming back to something and returning to the same problem. So using their struggles and their frustrations and their complaints that they might have raised before, using that to the benefit of the roadmap and selling it to them and how it will solve their problems in the future with the clients, with them. That is definitely the number one thing that I do. But also making it visible that we've taken their input, because no matter in which team you work or what project you work on, you've got input on how they want to improve, even though the client doesn't give you that time. So if we then have that roadmap sessions, making sure that you highlight that this was that person's input. Thank you for that suggestion. We took it to the client. They went for it. Like, this is what we're going to implement. That definitely gives them a sense of accomplishment and makes them excited. And if you get one or two of them excited, they will get the rest excited. You're responsible for one or two of them.
Nice.
Yeah, so definitely my tactic.
Very cool. And I think a last reflection on that before we go to the quickfire is that one of the things that you've also instituted is that the developers demo their own work. You know, talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, definitely, because there was a stage where we demoed, I would take their work and go demo to the client, and I would relay the compliments from the client. But the change in atmosphere and the change in the way they interact with each other, just from them hearing their own compliments that is rightfully theirs, made such a huge difference. The fact is how I can see them coming back to the team and say, guys, this person said this person never gives us a compliment, but they just said this about what we developed. It's such an honor that I basically stole from them previously, but now they can experience it. And that's the best way to get them excited for the next demo and achieving their next goal.
Yeah, exactly.
And
you can always give them the context there, especially to maybe some of the internal customers and external that are not freely dolling out the feel goods. You know, when there's one or two comments that come, you can really say, wow, you know, okay, you know, understand the significance of what this person has just shared with you. You know, so that's really great to give them that context. Thank you, Isabeau. This has been really insightful.
Thank you so much.
I've got a couple of quick fire questions for you.
Okay.
So, would you prefer Azure or AWS?
Azure.
For sure, good answer.
I might get fired.
Are you an Apple or Android?
Android.
Android. What is your favorite Azure resource?
I don't know.
Good answer. You're in the perfect role. This is great.
I don't know. I'm trying to go through everything I just learned.
No, this is perfect. Thank you for putting the time and effort in for the Azure fundamentals. You know, after that, you'll be able to answer that. And then, last but not least, and Dani's the benchmark here in terms of his question. What's your favorite restaurant in Cape Town?
Beluga.
By far?
Yes.
Like, that was quick. I mean, I didn't even prep you.
I don't even have to think about that.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Isabeau, for your insight. I really hope there's valuable things for the viewers there. I'm sure there is. I really appreciate your time.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.